Hey there, it's just Cassie coming to you from Tupperware Innovation Sales to tell you about our amazing Chef's Japanese range of knives. This beautiful set is available for the knives to be purchased individually, and we actually have two different sets. I'm going to tell you about my favourite set because you can actually get this massive set for half price by hosting, which is a huge saving of nearly $400. There's actually 8 knives available in our collection, and you'll see in our knife block that they're actually housed sideways, which means when you pull the knives out, they're not going to dull the blades, which is really cool. When you actually look at the underside of the knife block as well, you can see that they're actually aerated, so you don't have to worry about any dust or yuckies getting into the bottom, and your knives are going to stay nice and clean and hygienic as well. There's also a spot in here for our Chef Series scissors that you can pop in there. And every now and then we have a carving fork to come out promotionally, and you can pop that in there as well. Now the cool thing about these knives, if I pull one out, is they all do come with a sheath as well. So regardless of whether or not you buy the knives in the block or individually, you will actually get them delivered with the sheath. I actually have the sheath here for the new Santoku knife. The Santoku knife is basically the Japanese version of a chef's knife, and it's ideal for fish and vegetables, and it's going to give you faster dicing and chopping. When you want to pop your knives in their sheath, obviously be very careful because they are super sharp, and that's going to keep them nice and sharp and protected if you do need to store them, or you can of course store them nicely on your bench top in your knife block. When you actually look at the knife blades up close, you'll see that there's a hammer dent finish. So when you're doing a lot of fast chopping, that will actually have the food falling away from the blade. So you're not going to end up with a kind of mess everywhere, and it just makes it nice and efficient for you too. You'll also notice on all of the knives as I pull them out that they're ergonomically designed. I might pop these over here. And they will actually fit in all left and right hands nicely, and they have a different shape depending on what the knife does. So this is our paring knife, and you can see that's a bit of a stubbier, shorter handle because you generally will hold a paring knife like so, and you may peel with it or cut like this with your paring knife. Then you've got our utility knife. Your utility knife is a really great go-to knife for pretty much all of your basic cutting needs and for smaller fruits and vegetables. Then you'll have our serrated knives. There's actually 2 serrated knives in the range. The serrated utility knife makes an amazing steak knife. So if you want to treat yourself to a really good set of steak knives, get yourself more than one of these because they are phenomenal. But we actually have a unique serration here that can be sharpened in our knife sharpener. This is the only type of serrated blade in the world that can be sharpened, and it can only be sharpened in our knife sharpener, okay? There's actually 2 little divots here, one for your regular knives, and you can put any flat bladed knife in that, and one for our serrated knives. These are also really fantastic for soft things that you might normally squash when you're cutting them, because this will honestly just go through it like a hot knife through butter, so to speak. Then you have our filleting knife. I actually have had a few people grab this one for their husbands for fishing, because if you look at this, and I'll just pop that there, you can see that is really nice and flexible. So I don't really fillet much with this, but I use it for all of our meat prep because it'll trim all of the fat really nicely and go in and around bones perfectly. Love that one. We've got the Santoku knife, which I've shown you, and then we've got our carving knife. This is actually fantastic for carving, but also if you're not really as comfortable with a really big knife, you may prefer the carving knife for your bigger cutting needs. It's got a really nice long blade too. Really love that carving knife. Then we've got our serrated bread knife. This is fantastic for pastries, baking, and even for cutting cheese, soft and hard cheeses. So if you're normally cutting your cheese and it kind of ends up like this, you want to make sure you're cutting with these knives and you'll get nice straight cuts. And you can actually prep your cheese ahead of time by cutting it or dicing it and popping it in your clearmates. The bread knife is really good for that, but it does have a higher angle handle here that makes it really easy for cutting loaves, pizzas, sandwiches too. And then your chef's knife. The chef's knife is definitely my go-to knife for just about everything, and it's got a really nice 45-degree angle here that will mean that you can actually rock, and a lot of people prefer that rocking motion, chefs in particular, and I know a lot of chefs that do have these knives and absolutely love them. A couple of reasons: they are fantastic quality and they are super sharp, but they also have that ergonomically designed handle, and they're a full tang blade, so you'll see the blade actually goes the whole way through to the handle, which gives you a nice feel and a nice weight, and they're perfectly balanced, which is going to do a fantastic job of all your prep work. That chef's knife is great for your bigger cuts of meat too. The block, like I said, is available in 2 sets. So there is a complete set that has everything you see here. They all come with their covers and the block and the sharpener. for $7.85, but like I said, knock half the price off, $392.50, and you're going to be able to get that for half price as a host, which I think is phenomenal. If you did want to purchase the full set, it's still fantastic value, and you'll actually get a 10% credit sent straight to you to spend on future purchases, or you could actually join our business and buy this at cost price too. Some add-ons that I would definitely recommend, if you're buying the knives individually, definitely get yourself a sharpener. When the sharpener is used, you've actually got this little guard here that means you can be sharpening like so, but your other hand is protected. So it's a nice, safe way to sharpen, and it stores really nicely too, nice and neat in your drawer. So you can get this separately. So if you have one or two of the knives or some of our other Tupperware knives that need sharpening, you do want to make sure you're maintaining them with our knife sharpener. And then of course, our flexible cutting mats. These have a nice non-slip grip on the base, and they're really easy to use, and I love using them. The really good thing about these cutting mats is they're going to absorb your blade like a shock absorber basically. So if you've got a glass or a marble cutting surface, you're going to actually damage your knives potentially. So you want to use something like this that will absorb the blade and really keep your knife in tip-top condition. And with all the food that's on it, then you can actually just go doink like so into your pot or your pressure cooker or your Micro Pro grill. With the knives, in terms of your care and maintenance, we would absolutely be recommending a hand wash, because your dishwashing powders can be quite abrasive and actually affect your knives. Quick hand wash with one of those scrubby sticks, and they're going to come up beautiful and shining. Pop them straight back into your knife block. With your sheaths, I just pop these in my drawer for if I ever do need them, or if you wanted to house yours differently, you could. These generally shouldn't need washing, so make sure they don't get washed, because you don't want them to be wet inside and potentially put rust spots on your knives. But you know what? If you get something on your knives, it scrubs off nice and easily. They are honestly the best. Once you have these knives, you will not go back.